Topic 1-6, Graphing Systems of Inequalities. Alright, this is the last topic in this unit, and this is where I'm going to show you how to put them in a calculator. If you grab a graphing calculator, you're going to learn how to actually do the shading that we've been doing with the graphs. And looking at my calculator, I've already done this one on this technology page, which I've made note of in our Holt textbook. Chapter 6, Section 6, on page 4, actually this one's on page 427. It's showing you how to do some visual solutions in your calculator. But this whole unit can be starting on page 421 in your textbook. Alright, when you're looking at an inequality that you're trying to get the system of, you first would want to rearrange both linear equations. So I've tried to include this page in your packet. So if you don't have it, you might ask your teacher for it. But if you were to graph, or even that, just look on this page, page 427. If you were going to place in your graph, in the graphing calculator, the first equation that is listed on this page, y is greater than 2x minus 4. Well, what I did was I put it in as 2x minus 4, but it is only going to show the equal sign until you move your cursor all the way over to the flashing cursor on the left hand side of the y. So look closely. What you want is, if it's greater than, you can click this all the way around. It'll go in kind of a loop. It starts with just a single line, and then it'll do a thick double line. It's right after the thick double line that it starts flashing the triangle above the line. So that's when you want to hit enter. Well, sorry. That's when, actually, I'm going to just hit my arrow key and go down. So it locks it in as a greater than. The other equation, which is on number 3, was not written in linear form, so they had to rearrange it first. By dividing away 2.75 from this side, you now have the y by itself. So notice how I put this in the calculator. Anytime you do a division of a coefficient in front of the y, you can put it in the calculator exactly like you see it here by just putting this in parentheses. That's the most important thing. Put whatever's on top in parentheses and then divide it by whatever you had to divide away from the y. Now this one shows the inequality to be less than. So when you get the flashing cursor to the left hand side of your y, you want it to flash on the bottom, and then you'll want to move off of it with your just the arrow keys. So then after that, you can hit the graph button, which is right here, and graph them. You'll do it slowly. There's the first one, and there's the second one. So now you actually see where your points that would include both of them would lie and fall. So all of this is explained again in your textbook or the handout on page 427. There are a few at the bottom if you want to check a few points that you would check using a 0, 0 they showed to be 1 and a -1, 0 for another one. They're just checking a couple of points to see if they would be solutions to that system, which in this section you're going to be asked to do the same. Alright, so look at this first couple of examples. They've actually given you the solution and they want you to write the system. So you are first going to look for your b. Remember, a lot of times I'll draw the b, y equals mx plus b. This, oops, I did it on the line. Sorry about that. It's actually right here. There's your y. Your y-axis is always going to be this number here, this number here. Take the sign with it, and this number here. This one, however, doesn't hit the y because it's an x only. So these are some examples of these two. So look carefully. This first one, you started at 2, and then you do -1, +1, -1, +1. It's a solid line because of that right there. So you make this solid, and then everything was shaded, which they don't show this part, but everything was shaded. That's not showing up very well. Everything is shaded to the bottom of that line, below the line. Likewise with this. This is y is less than starting at a -3, and I walked up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. Dotted line because of that. And then everything is also shaded less than, so that's actually this section right here. But again, notice where they both cross is darkened. Always make your system inequality even darker here. Okay, on this one, x is less than 1, so that's going to be shaded. Just pretend that pink line's not on this one. That's going to be shaded everything to the left because it's less than. Oops, let me bring that up. And then for this one, you're at the -4. Your movement is going down a -1 over +3, down -1 over +3. To draw that line, that shows a solid line because of this inequality symbol. So this also is everything less than. But again, even though you have shadings here and here, those are not a part of your system inequality. Only the points that fall inside where they both cross would be a solution to your system. Okay, one more problem. Looking at this one, you have a graph that the first one is in y-intercept form, but the second one is not. So you'll see that the first one is graphed without writing anything, but this one right here had to be rearranged. Be careful. Here you had to divide by a -2. If you divide by a -2, then this goes away, but what happened here? This had to flip. This is a common mistake, so make sure you write out here something about remembering to flip the sign. You want to remember that you got to flip the inequality sign. So here you're starting at a -3. Kind of messy over here right now, but on yours, just draw. My main thing is draw your graphs accurately. Use a ruler and make sure when you draw your line, dotted or solid, that it goes through the whole coordinate point. You're starting at -3. Your movement is up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over a +2. 1, 2. Draw one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over a +2. 3 points will give you a nice line. The shading, both of these are, well, actually, I'm sorry, the first one is less than. So my first graph, I'm just going to show it this way since it's already been shaded, will go down. The second graph, this line is actually shaded above. Where is it that they both cross? In this section just right here. So you want to make your pencil mark even darker right there. So in this one, determining which points in the solution are set, there's only one. Go and take a minute and plot each one of the points that was crossed out here. The only one that would actually work would be this one here. It's the only point that would be in this section that's both where they both crossed. And that concludes this first unit with 1-6.